Good evening. This is Cynthia Howard, and welcome to my show called Freedom Cast. And this is our weekend edition show. Today is Saturday, November 4th, 2017, and we will be talking about our upcoming local elections in Claremont, New Hampshire. And of course, they will be held throughout the state in different cities and towns as well. Well, we have seen those yellow and black signs placed all over the city in recent days, haven't we? And they're in all neighborhoods and on various streets. They're just about everywhere. These signs contain the names of candidates endorsed by the firefighters. Now let me go a step forward. Not only the firefighters, but the Firefighters Union. As you can see at the bottom of the sign, it says paid for by PPFFA New Hampshire, PAC, Jerry Meyer, Treasurer, which is the abbreviation for the Professional Firefighters Association. And if you dig a little deeper, you can check in at the New Hampshire Secretary of State's office where all the PACs are registered. And the PAC is registered through the chairperson, David Lang, who is president of the New Hampshire Firefighters Union, and they're located on Center Street in Concord, New Hampshire. And he also in the past has filed the paperwork with Mr. McQuillan, as well as Jerry Meyer, who is the treasurer. These filings show thousands of dollars throughout many years that are available for sometimes left-leaning candidates or rhinos in both the New Hampshire primary elections and the general election. Now, apparently, what they do is when they have extra cash in their slush fund, they roll over this money to the local elections to protect their own interest, obviously, not yours. In this case, to quote Ronald Reagan, here we go again. Well, let's not let this happen again. We have to get out there and vote in huge numbers and stop this foolishness. Stop these special interest groups such as the fire union who are paid by taxpayers and who end up working against us. All in the name of safety. It's what candidates support what. And if they support the fire department, hooray for them, and to heck with you. Let's take a look at the names that are working against you if they are elected, these so-called endorsed fire department candidates. And the first one is one of their own, a call firefighter and current city councilor Nick Koloski, who already has been on the council far too long. Now, don't you think 8 years is way too long? I think that's why they should have term limits, because someone doesn't know when to stop running, and hopefully he won't get elected because he's been running too long. He performs well when it's an election year by excusing himself during the public hearing for Keno recently. That was like probably 10 days ago. The latest lottery game, even though it has not been voted on until Tuesday by yourselves, he recused himself from the council because he is an owner of a bar where Keno may be played or may not be played, depending what he decides on doing. So yet he still recused himself, and he walked down, he went to the podium and still asked questions. So how can you call that recusing yourself when he still participated in the discussion? But I mean, that's ridiculous. Why excuse yourself? It hasn't even been voted on. Oh, by the way, it's an election year, and I want to make myself look good for people out there, so they vote for me. So that's his little strategy on making himself look good for the election. Yet that's still a dumb choice because he made himself look stupid standing at the podium asking questions when he could have done the same thing up there with the council. Yet, that same person, Nick Koloski, when there are budget hearings on the fire budget, he sits in on the discussions and tentatively approves the budget with no problem. And that is the worst conflict of interest because there's a definite pecuniary interest directly associated with him because he's receiving checks, taxpayer checks from the fire department as a call fireman. So this endorsement is a thank you from one of its own. Let's make sure he gets on the council, the fire department, so we have to have him there. He's one of us. Next, we have our Ward 2 current city councilor running unopposed. And yet he's being endorsed by the fire union. Why do you suppose that's happening? Well, if anyone else were running unopposed, why would he need a sign, or for that matter, an endorsement? Ask yourself, what is the union afraid of? A last-minute endorsement of a strong conservative running as a unlisted candidate in Ward 2? A write-in candidate, of which there are many, and that could be the case. They could be really worried someone's going to come forward at the last minute as a write-in and call their friends and get some definite votes, and they could defeat someone like Scott Pope, who is working against the taxpayers. And that could be the strategy, because why would anyone even spend the time or money in putting signs out when they're unopposed? Ridiculous, foolish, idiotic. Then the two other candidates, new names, and yet, for some reason, strange reason, they have been endorsed by the firefighters union. They're pro-fire candidates. The first one is Dave Pachetti, and by his interview in the Valley News, we can conclude that he wants to save the grant-funded firemen, even if it means cutting something else. Now that's not right, because if you're a real conservative, you would determine if additional firemen were needed in the first place before accepting the grant to begin with, because in the long run it's going to cost you money. And in this town, we don't need any extra firemen because we barely ever have a fire. This isn't a large city like Boston or New York. It's ridiculous. And the last endorsement is Leanne Devaney by the firemen, who gave a clue of why she may be pro-union. She stated that she would like to see lower taxes. That sounds good, but only with more revenue, which means she would be afraid to touch anything with a 10-foot pole. She would be afraid to touch the sacred cow, the fire department budget, because it's only $2.5 million. Why? Someone like her could make it grow into 2.8, like what they originally wanted, and it was denied last budget cycle, or maybe even more. How about $3 million? But this is what they want, and that's why they gave her the huge endorsement. And as long as you continue to spend, nothing's going to be cut back. And if you can wait till the cows come home and for the revenue, and if it never comes in, your taxes are going to go up and up as they spend more and more. And these candidates will. These candidates are anything but taxpayer friendly. Now, our current city budget for the fire department, you can access it at ClaremontNewHampshire.com, and click on government, click on mayor and city council, and then you will see the listing of the budgets, and click on the current fiscal year budget, which is 2018, even though we're 2017. Click that on, bring up the fire department budget, and you will see it's in the range of $2.5 million, and they requested 2.8, but 2.5 was approved, and that's way too much in a city of this size. I mean, that's ridiculous. You could easily take off 10% off the top and not even hurt the fire department in whatever way, shape, or form. So these candidates that I just listed, other than Scott Pope, are running at large. Devaney, Pachetti, and Koloski. And a vote for these candidates, mark my words, as sure as I'm sitting here doing my radio broadcast, is a vote for higher property taxes. In other words, you think your taxes are high now, you wait till people like that get elected, and then they're even going to be higher, especially when there's a group of them, a slate of them. You have less of a chance to have your taxes lower because they're going to group together and they're going to plan on spending more money. Now, on the bottom of these union signs is the following scare tactic. And I've seen this, and I've been there and done this before. Make Claremont safer again. What a joke. And what a scare tactic in propagandizing that people aren't already safe here. Of course we are. And even if we elect conservative, taxpayer-friendly candidates, they are inferring that we will be less safe. That's ludicrous. That's ridiculous. Of course we will, because the fire department is required by law to attend any emergency and to put out the fire on anyone's house, no matter who's in office. Even if there was nobody in office, they would be required by law to do that. Remember, they are paid employees. The only thing that may not be safe for the fire department and what they're inferring to is maybe a decrease in their pay, maybe no more grant-funded firemen, maybe a smaller budget, maybe less benefits, or maybe no raise in pay, and the pay will be capped at the rate it is at currently. So the real concern is not in making Claremont safe or safer, but making their pay safe and safer, making their wallets bigger, making sure that they have everything they need for their retirement. So it's all about greed. It's not about public service. It's about greed. And this is the same issue going on across the country. The unions are way out of control, whether it's in any other part of New Hampshire or across the country. It's all about greed. And as President Coolidge once said, public sector employees have no right to strike against the people at any time, any place, or anywhere. That was during the Boston police strike, but the same can be said about any strike or who they represent and what they're supposed to do, and they're supposed to take care of the public no matter what, and no matter who's in office. They're just using that as a gag, as a gimmick, to make you feel that, well, if I don't elect these candidates, if I don't vote for these candidates, then I won't be safe. That's scaring people, and that's the wrong approach for them to do, and they'll do anything to save their face. Well then, who will represent us, you ask? My first choice is a young man by the name of Jeremy Zullo, a small business owner, who will be on your side, just like our Governor Sununu and President Donald John Trump, who was elected with a huge margin of victory. And in addition to that, I will be voting for Claire Lessard and Abigail Kier, who I think will be taxpayer-friendly based on their interviews in the Valley News and speaking with them directly. But my number one choice is Jeremy Zullo. Too bad there weren't a whole city council full of Jeremy Zullos or people running like him. And then we'd have a chance of having more revenue, because as taxes go low or as spending is cut back to a reasonable level, then you're going to see an influx of business in this town. And the way they grow is by reducing all the overhead and all the expenses, and then you'll see more growth. And then once you see more growth and less spending, you're going to see the taxes come down. It's a no-brainer, and these people that are on the council now, or these people that are big spending candidates, can't see it that way, but yet nothing's happening and nothing's going ahead. It's all going backwards because of this reason of spending and spending and spending. So you do have a choice. You don't have to vote for those fire-endorsed candidates. You can vote for some others in the at-large race, which is a highly competitive race. You need to get out there and do that and exercise your constitutional freedom, because it's one of the few freedoms that we have left in our country, the right to vote. And when we lose that, we would lose everything, because it's our power, and people don't exercise their power enough. And in addition to voting for those at-large candidates, Sard, Kier, Zullo, there's supposed to be 4 people in the race, but to vote to be on the council for at-large. So the 4th one that I don't have here would have to be a write-in. And if you don't like any of these, please go ahead and write them in, because it's better in writing someone in than to voting for someone you know that's not going to represent you properly and someone you don't like. So have the fourth one as a write-in, or write in all of them by all means, because probably it's nothing to get excited about, but like I said, the Jeremy Zulo candidacy is probably better than most. And in Ward 1, we have considered running. Please vote Francis Gauthier if you're in Ward 1. That's a competitive race. He's got an opponent. The rest of them are running against himself. They're running unopposed. So they shouldn't have nothing to worry about unless a bunch of write-in votes come in for someone that gets written in by a few people out there. Who knows? You never know. Now, in addition to writing in candidates and voting for candidates, the keynote question is also on the ballot, the latest New Hampshire lottery game for funding education. And I am opposed for reasons that I've outlined in my presentation at the council meeting, as well as on my radio show, which can be viewed at Spreaker.com/user/CCLT-radio/Keno-603, or also available on my Twitter feed, and just follow the link to my radio show, or I'm on most social media platforms, or you can call me and I can get you that information at 603-543-1372, or by email cindycool09@yahoo.com. We don't need gambling to fund education, because what we have, the current system since 1964, isn't working, as our taxes are going up and we're losing funding from the state. And based on population, you're going to lose funding. So if it hasn't worked in the past, it's not working now, why continue it and add something else that's not going to work in the long run? Because all it is making it look like it's going to fix something, and all it is a short-term fix, and it's not going to work in the long run. So I'm voting no, and I hope you do too, and send them a message, and maybe that will force them to come up with another solution, an alternative funding plan. And they like things easy, and sometimes you have to really sit down and figure something out that's going to work in the long run for everyone. Now, make sure to get out and vote on Tuesday, November 7th in Claremont, as well as other cities and towns throughout the state of New Hampshire. And you can check on ClaremontNewHampshire.com for locations and times, but for the most part, Ward 1 and 2 is at the middle school from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Ward 3 is at the Disnard School on Hanover Street from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Remember, only you can prevent high property taxes or higher property taxes by one thing, and that is voting. Now, I am self-funding this broadcast with no sponsorship, so please check out my items for sale at Cindy's Antiques and Collectibles on Facebook.com. I'm sure you'll find something that's good for the holiday season, or a gift, or for that special someone. That's Cindy's Antiques and Collectibles on Facebook.com. Now, to review this broadcast, or to repeat this broadcast, or any broadcast, view my Twitter feed on my website at ccltgroup.webs.com, and it will come up there on the prompt, or visit Spreaker.com and type in Cynthia Howard, or my Facebook page, or on Twitter.com. I'm Cindy Teatime, and I speak frequently to our president, Mr. Donald Trump. And you can also view broadcasts on both LinkedIn and Google+. So I'm on 90% of the social media platforms out there. So you can find me somewhere, as well as on YouTube. This broadcast will replay on YouTube as well. You can also contact me by email, cindycool09@yahoo.com, or call me. Again, my phone number is 603, New Hampshire number, 543-1372. Maybe you have an idea for a show, or you would like to be a guest, or something we can discuss together, or you can be in the studio, or you can be on the phone and talk to me, and we will put you on the radio. Now, please spread these links. We only have a matter of a few days, so this is an emergency transmission. And please spread the links for my radio show, whether it's on social media or tell people to get on Spreaker.com and type in Cynthia Howard so that we can get the word out to as many people as possible so that they know who is more conservative, who is taxpayer friendly, and who would be the best candidates to vote for and what they should do and more than that, what they shouldn't do. So only you, the informed citizenry, can stop tyranny. And when you do nothing, tyranny exists. When you do something, then you have a republic and then you have freedom. One of our founding fathers, that's to paraphrase them. But you need to come out and vote Tuesday, November 7th, 2017 in our local City of Claremont, New Hampshire election. And I hope to see you out there. And I thank you for listening. And this broadcast was not paid by any candidate or any candidates committee. I'm just getting the information out to you for Tuesday's event. And I thank you for listening. There will be more broadcasts in the future, and I will spread them out as soon as they're completed. And I thank you again for listening. This has been Cynthia Howard on Freedomcast. And have a good evening and have a good weekend. And see you at the polls on Tuesday. Thank you.